mows down 20 people on London Bridge. 3 Jihadi terrorists have been shot dead by armed police after killing 6 people and injuring 30 more during a horrific knife rampage in central London last night. The men, described as being of Mediterranean origin, shouted, "This is for Allah," after they mowed down up to 20 revellers in a white van hurtling across London Bridge at 50 miles per hour on Saturday. Attackers stabbed a police officer on the bridge and then attacked revellers with 12-inch hunting knives at busy bars and restaurants in the nearby Borough Market, in what authorities described as terrorist incidents. One man was reportedly stabbed 5 times in the chest. Witnesses said the gang, who had metal canisters strapped to their chests, smashed pub windows and reportedly cut the throats of drinkers, while a dark-skinned man in a red tracksuit calmly stabbed a man 3 times. The male suspects were shot and killed by armed police in Borough Market within 8 minutes of the first call. The attackers were wearing suicide vests, which turned out to be hoaxes, police said. Armed police rushed to the scene where shots were heard and authorities urged panicked Londoners on Twitter to run, hide, tell, if they were caught in the utter chaoses. Terrifying footage from the scene shows police officers shouting, "Clear the scene now," as panicked pedestrians fled. London Ambulance said multiple resources were attending the area. The car the 3 men were in veered in an S-shape across the bridge and drove towards the Shard and was south of the river at 10:08 p.m. There are unconfirmed reports that it is a B&Q and Hertz van. One woman said she saw 3 people with what appeared to be their throats cut at London Bridge. 30 people have been taken to 5 hospitals across London after the horrific attack. One of the fatalities was at London Bridge, it has been reported. An on-duty British Transport police officer who rushed to protect bystanders at London Bridge was stabbed by the terrorists. He suffered serious but not life-threatening injuries and his family has been informed. The men said, "This is for Allah," as they left the van and attacked victims. There were definitely 3 people sitting at the front of the van. Witness Eric Seguenzo told BBC News. He added, "I thought the van was travelling on wrong side of the road, as though the brakes had failed. The white van had yellow stripes, veered to the right and people tried to jump out the way." One of the injured victims is Londoner Jeff Ho, who was reportedly stabbed at the Southwark Tavern. He was rushed to hospital during the chaos. The harrowing video shows a man who is believed to be Mr. Ho staggering down the street, holding his hand up to his neck to try to stop the bleeding from a neck wound. Witnesses to the terror attack said there was a stabbing in the Southwark pub venue at the Borough Market, while others heard at least 12 gunshots in the area. Twitter users have circulated an image of Mr. Ho and claim he is missing after being stabbed at the tavern. "I need to know if Jeff Ho is okay, if anyone can help." Stabbed at Southwark Tavern. Last seen in an ambulance, Isabel Oderberg tweeted early on Sunday morning. At least 1 person is believed to have been stabbed in the doorway of the Southwark Tavern in Southwark Street. Drinkers are said to have thrown chairs and glasses at the attacker as he stormed the pub. Ben and his wife Natalie were in Borough Market near the Southwark Tavern. They told BBC Radio 5 Live that they saw a dark-skinned man in a red tracksuit stabbing a man. "We saw people running away and then I saw a man in red with a large blade at a guess 10 inches long, stabbing a man, about 3 times. I was across the road about 15 meters away. The attacker was dark-skinned and had a red tracksuit on. It looked like the man had been trying to intervene, but there wasn't much he could do. He was being stabbed quite coldly and he slumped to the ground." Counter-Terrorism Command have launched an investigation on anybody who has images or film of the incident have been asked to pass those to police by uploading it at www.ukpoliceimageappeal.co.uk. Our thoughts are with all those involved and those responding to both incidents. Those who are concerned about a loved one can contact a casualty bureau on 0800 0961 233. Police said in a statement. "We are reviewing and planning to strengthen our policing stance across London over the forthcoming days, and there will be additional police and officers deployed across the capital. I would like to ask the public to remain vigilant and let us know if they see anything suspicious that causes them concern and dial 999 immediately." Police advised people who live within the London Bridge cordon to stay somewhere else on Saturday night if they could. One witness said no one was hurt from the van impact, but as the men got out the van they started kicking, punching and stabbing victims they ran over. It was a rampage. One of the men suspected of being an attacker was pictured lying on the ground after he was shot by the police outside the Wheatsheaf pub in Borough Market. Another man was seen lying on the ground a short distance away. It was earlier reported that Shash helicopters were flown in from the Hereford headquarters to hunt for the deadly terrorists. The bridge is in lockdown and the area around it is closed, with bus routes being diverted, as armed police and a bomb squad attended the scene and boats searched the Thames for bodies, amid reports that people were pushed into the water. 50 armed police also stormed Monument and Bank Station with police dogs. The stations were closed. Who had been in the area watching the Champions League final said he ran towards the scene of the attack after the three assailants began stabbing people in the Borough Market area. He told BBC News, "I came in after the men stabbed some other men. I ran towards the scene because I noticed this man with this kind of explosive-looking belt on his chest. They were running. A police officer was trying to put himself between them and the crowd. After that they were almost coming towards me and I tried to run away. Then they were going towards the main street. At that point, I ran towards them. More police came over. I guess they were on radio or something, because in around like 2 or 5 seconds they shot all the 3 men down. That is what I honestly saw." One of the terrorists was shown in a photograph lying on the ground with canisters strapped to his body after he was shot by the police, the BBC said. The possible attacker was shown on the ground outside the Wheatsheaf pub in Borough Market near London Bridge. Another man was seen lying on the ground a short distance away in the photograph. Describing what appeared to be canisters strapped to the man's chest, Mr. Shoto said, "At first sight I thought it wasn't anything real. It didn't look real to me, but I'm not like the person who could honestly say if they were real or not." He added, "I've been in situations like this before. I don't think you realize how scary how possibly be until you put yourself into it. A policeman could have shot me because it was me, the police and these 3 men, so I was lucky definitely. We were in the Sheaf pub. Basically lots of people came running inside. We didn't really know what was going on. We thought maybe there was a fight or something outside. And then there were almost hundreds of people coming inside." He added, "The bouncers did a really good job. They shut the doors and locked everyone in. There was panic. It seemed like it was literally outside the door. People were coming inside and saying they had witnessed people being stabbed. They had seen and witnessed people being stabbed. It seemed like it was happening immediately outside the entrance." A bystander said a friend was in Applebee's restaurant, which is opposite Wheatsheaf pub in Borough Market, when suddenly the waiters pulled down all the shutters. They looked outside and saw 2 men lying dead in the street. One had what looked like a suicide vest on him. Police told everyone in the restaurant to stay inside. Then a minute or 2 later they heard 2 or 3 shots fired. There were also claims earlier in the evening that a topless man had been handcuffed and taken into custody. Drinkers are said to have thrown chairs and glasses at the attacker as he stormed the pub. Video shows drinkers in the basement German-themed bar Kastenjammers hiding under tables as the terror attack unfolded around them. Jamie, a witness who was in black and blue in Rochester Walk, said, "We hid under the table and people came into the restaurant and knocked a bunch of stuff over, like the till. And then we ran into the kitchen, where there was a bunch of other people and a guy had been stabbed and he was cut and he was bleeding quite a lot." He added that they waited in the kitchen for quite a while before they were evacuated. A woman, who did not want to be named, added, "We were in the restaurant and we just saw 3 guys come in, stabbed someone in the face and someone in the stomach. One of them had a big knife, then he came in and walked around the restaurant. I guess they just kind of stabbed anyone that they saw and knocked things on the ground and then we just hid." Gerard Vowles, 47, who was in a pub near London Bridge, said he threw chairs and glasses at the attackers in a bid to stop them entering. He told The Guardian, "They kept coming to try to stab me. They were stabbing everyone. Evil, evil people." One witness reported seeing a van crash into a lamppost by the Barrow Boy and Banker pub past the bridge. She added, "Just trying to get away at the moment. There are no trains leaving, so we're just panicking a little." Barman Alex Martinez was forced to take shelter in a bin when a knifeman stormed the Borough restaurant in which he worked. "I remember that I was working behind the bar and one man entered into my restaurant and that's it. I remember about the 3rd table, 2nd one, next to the door. The man dropped everything and ran out. I just tried to be safe. I jumped down behind a big wall. Now I feel my pain in my arm. I feel pain. I saw that man with a knife in his hand, and after that a man started screaming, so I knew something wrong was happening. The man started screaming and dropping everything on the floor, the plates, the cutlery, the bottle, everything. He dropped it. He recalled hearing someone crying near his bin and said the two exchanged reassurances. One man who was in a pub by the Shard told Mail Online, "I was feet away from getting stabbed. Saw so many people literally dying. Was in a pub and they were at the door stabbing people." Hours after the initial attack, 2 loud blasts were heard near London Bridge, although police were said to have looked calm about the explosions. It is thought that they could have been controlled explosions carried out by officers. Theresa May called the events in London a potential act of terrorism after reports of a van hitting pedestrians, stabbings and armed police firing shots around the London Bridge area. Following updates from police and security officials, I can confirm that the terrible incident in London is being treated as a potential act of terrorism, May said in a statement. London Mayor Sadiq Khan has called the terrorist incidents at London Bridge and Borough Market deliberate and cowardly, adding, "There is no justification whatsoever for such barbaric acts." Home Secretary Amber Rudd said the London attacks were horrific, adding they were targeted at people enjoying their evening with friends and family. Police responded to a third incident in Vauxhall, South London, which later turned out to be an unrelated stabbing. Officers are telling people, "You must run, hide and tell." The attacks in the streets of London come just days after armed troops were pulled off the streets of Britain. Thousands of soldiers were deployed by the Prime Minister following the bombing of Manchester Arena as she raised the UK threat level from severe to critical. Police are treating injured people and carrying them away at the end Rail Street. Members of the public were told by police to run as fast as they could westbound. Kumi da Costa was caught up with her 2 friends at the incident in Borough Market. She told the BBC, "The cab driver turned into the market and we got stuck right in the middle of the shooting. We were in a one-way street and couldn't turn around. There were loads of shots being fired. 2 people were on the floor behind the church with 2 or 3 people leaning over them. About 50 police were pointing guns at us. The cab driver had the laser pointed right at them. Our hands were up. We were trying to get out, so they shooed us away." A man was coming out of the restaurant. He had a napkin on his neck with blood pouring out. There was another man lying on the floor. I don't know if he was in the recovery position or dead. We weaved through little side streets where the police were telling us to go to Blackfriars Bridge, and we could see people looking over the side. People had maybe jumped over the bridge. A couple of times we had to lie down on the floor of the cab because of the shooting around us. Police have told people to remain calm, but be alert and vigilant. They added, "We are using all necessary skills and resources at London Bridge, Borough Market and Vauxhall." Bursts of gunfire were heard as witnesses described how one man was arrested after police stormed towards a house in Southwark. The Asian man in his mid-30s had his hands tied behind his back as up to 30 police frog marched him down the street shouting at people to get back. Eyewitness John Bennett said, "As I was walking up the Borough High Street, the police were crowded round a house on the right-hand side. They had shields and were wearing masks and were running across the street shouting at one another. I heard what sounded like short bursts of gunfire. Suddenly they started shouting at us, 'Run away, get back,' and people really were running for their lives. About 15 of us were running down Borough High Street toward London Bridge, followed by 30 armed police. They were spread put across the street. They had a man. There were 4 police either side of him and others crowded round. They had his hands tied behind his back. He was Asian man, about 5 feet 6 inches, dark hair, mid-30s with stubble, wearing a dark jacket. He was being frog-marched quickly down the street. They crowded round him at the first corner, then we were all ushered away as they extended the cordon. It was really scary. The police were round on a corner on the street. They had shields and guns. Then everyone started running. They had arrested a guy and were running with him." A security guard who oversees a number of pubs in the area has told the BBC he saw 4 people stabbed by 3 attackers. The man, who was deeply shocked and asked not to be named, said he was at the Market Porter pub when a colleague at another bar said there was a stabbing at the Borough Bistro pub nearby. He said he went towards this pub and saw that everybody started running, and there was screaming. She told Ms. Jones, "I don't know where those other two people are." So the police are checking the Thames. They were right near the edge of the bridge. It looks potentially they could have been thrown over. Witnesses told the BBC that a white van veered off the road on London Bridge and hit 5 or 6 people when the attack happened at 10 p.m. One witness wrote on Twitter, "Passerby says 15 to 20 people have been run over." Another says 7 or 8. Horrific scene at London Bridge. Bodies strewn over the pavement. B&Q van mounted the pavement. "I feel sick," one witness wrote. On a boat travelling under London Bridge, buses stopped. Police lights everywhere and boats checking the water. "Please let everyone be okay." Another added, "Police are dealing with a major incident and all routes are being diverted." The Metropolitan Police posted on Twitter, "We are dealing with an incident on London Bridge. When we have more information we will update this Twitter feed." London Bridge is closed both ways due to a police incident, TfL said, warning the public to avoid the area.